Before we start this podcast, I do want to say, please subscribe to this channel.
Please subscribe to this channel.
We're creeping
Please.
up. I noticed it today. I was checking it.
We
And I
are
was
creeping.
Like, wow.
We're at like 925.
Yeah,
a
we're
lot.
really close. Need to get to 1,000 subscribers. That's
Yes.
when you make it or break it on YouTube, folks.
We're gonna make it. Okay.
Yeah,
And we're,
there's
and
no
we're gonna
time for
make it.
breaking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
We're gonna
and
be
then,
discovered.
yeah, and I was gonna say if maybe when we get to 1,000, we can start answering like subscriber questions.
Oh, I'll do that.
We talked to the
Yeah.
1,000th subscriber.
Yeah,
Interview
whoever
them.
the 1,000th subscriber is, will answer your question, whatever question you have for us.
Thank you for monetizing us.
Yeah.
Jim, take it away from here.
Yeah.
Welcome into the Cellini Rounds podcast, everybody. I am your host, Dr. Jim Cellini. I'm a board certified veterinary neurologist who wishes he was a human doctor. I'm joined by I'm just kidding. Joined by my younger brothers, Dr. Michael Cellini, Dr. Tommy Cellini. They're both interventional radiologists. Welcome into the show. Let's start talking about
interventional
things.
radiologist, but that's
Tommy's an
weird.
interventional radiologist.
Yeah.
Tommy's a breast imaging wannabe or something.
Tommy's inferior.
He's a wannabe. I am a wannabe.
Today's episode, we're going to talk politics. We're going to talk all the political issues that are
We are?
dividing the country. No, we're not.
Oh, I was about to
Definitely
say.
A way to not be monetized. Actually,
yeah.
you probably could get monetized that way. It would just go the opposite direction of our career.
This is the truth.
yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to start the episode by giving an example of what I like to call a name that means you can only work in medicine. Dr. Metz has left the Department of Anesthesiology and Perioperative Medicine at Penn State. And this goes alongside Dr. Boring, the author of the veterinary radiology textbook. And whenever I see a doctor whose last name is literally just like some medical condition or finding or something, it's like, seriously, like what else could you have been?
Yeah.
But
What if he was an oncologist? That'd be even worse.
that would have been even crazier. But Dr. Metz has
Could he be
no
a-
longer.
Or maybe
What,
that's why he
Tommy?
didn't. Maybe that's why he didn't become an oncologist, because it would just be too
Yeah.
ironic. You
Too
know?
ominous every time he goes in the patient room.
Yeah, hey, I'm Dr.
Right.
Metz. What'd you say?
Yeah.
I have Metz? No, I'm Dr.
Yeah.
Metz.
Yeah. It's like a Who's on First Abbott and Costello sketch.
Oh man.
Dr. Metz is like, hey, so you've got the big C. And the patient's like, what? He does a canker sore.
So stupid.
You know, I had actually had a friend.
Thank you, Dr. Metz.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say I have Metz. Well, I am Dr. Metz, and you have Metz.
When you said Big C, I had a friend actually had like testicular cancer, and when he was telling me about it, he's a friend of a friend. And he was talking about it or something, but he wouldn't like actually say it that he had like cancer. And so he had like the testicle removed, no meds, anything like that. It was stage 1. It was fine. He was like, I got the C word, and he kept going on for like 10 minutes straight saying C word. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about, man? He was like, I had testicular cancer. I was like, just
Why-
say that. I was like,
Why
what are
did
you
you
doing?
say so?
Yeah. He just kept saying C and big C. I was like, I don't know what any of this means. Can you just tell me what it is?
Why was he scared to say it, you think?
I don't know. He'd already had it treated, and I'm like an ancillary friend. I'm like, I'm a doctor, right? You can say cancer. I'm not going to be like shocked by the word.
Right.
That's my entire career is that.
Yeah, literally.
Hey, the other thing I wanted to share was another
I can
story I
only
found
imagine.
that a pig heart recipient died of heart failure, study finds. And I found this interesting. The reasons for the failure remain under investigation. I'm pretty sure the cause of death, despite being a mystery, was the fact that his heart was from a pig.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably what happened.
Is that the
You-
joke?
You made
There's,
an
there's
answer
no,
for that?
there's not really a joke. I'm just saying,
Oh.
like,
Oh,
It's-
man.
Yeah, they're like, it's still a mystery.
It's-
How could this
Yeah.
pig heart have failed in a human?
right. Like, I think it's because his heart actually originated from a pig, and then they tried to move it into a human body,
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like,
Different.
and then it
species.
failed.
and then it failed, and he had heart failure. They're like, how could a pig's transplant? What is a pig? What is
Porcine.
it?
Porcine?
Porcine. Yeah.
Yeah. Porcine or porcine? I don't remember.
I was
which.
like, I was about to
Yeah.
say, I was like, that sounds weird, because I was gonna say port, and then I was like, porcine.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. But how could a porcine heart fail in 2 months. Like it's still under investigation with the cause of the heart failure. What?
Yeah. Here's what I always wondered. You guys probably don't know this because you're not transplant people, but when they put in a heart, so you know how the heart, like the vagus nerve, like directly tells the SA node like how fast to pump or how slow to go, right? And then there's like all sorts of like circulating hormones and stuff from.
It's not innervated.
It's not innervated by anything.
No.
So how does the SA node? What does it respond to? Is it just circulating hormones?
It's just the innate heart ability
how does the vagus nerve? Doesn't the vagus nerve like regulate? Like
yeah, but
I mean the SA node has its like like it beats on its own. Like it has an inherent thing. It can speed up and slow down, if I recall correctly. But I don't think that's necessarily like all vagus nerve. Like, and these people probably are on like beta blockers, stuff like that, and a ton of different medications.
And a pacemaker.
Like, yeah,
I'm sure
just to regulate their heart rate to a specific, like maintain and not. I mean, they're not going out and running marathons or Ironmans after this.
Well, that was kind of my question. Was that like, do they come with a pacemaker pretty much all the time?
Yeah, I think they have to. I mean, I'm kind of talking out my ass here, but because I'm not a transplant surgeon, but I'm certain they do. I feel like they have to.
Cardiac imaging. I'm struggling here.
Yeah.
How much more than what you did, Michael, does it take to become a transplant surgeon?
I think they do like a 5-year. So they're 5-year residency in general surgery, and then I think they do. I don't know how many years after that in transplant. 3 or 4, something.
Because I know I did a
4 more years than what Michael did.
I mean, I have a good buddy that is a transplant surgeon, but I don't know what. I think he did 3 years after fellowship.
Dude, I can't even
3 years after
comprehend how difficult it would be to transplant a heart.
Oh
yeah. I thought it was like when I think of transplant surgeon, I was like, oh man, they must be all on call all the time. But then I talked to him about it, and he was like, no, it's actually like pretty cool because like when you're on call, like you only do something if like there's an organ that needs to be harvested or a patient needs a transplant. Otherwise, like you're just like not
doing anything.
Yeah, because he was in between that and trauma surgery. And trauma surgery is kind of the same thing, but there's like always trauma.
Yeah,
you know. But transplants are a few and far between. So
I bet transplant surgeons make bank.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Probably. I mean, well, it depends on what.
With that much like training and skill that you have to get and that subspecialized, like once you get to that point, it's like,
oh yeah. Yeah, renal transplant guys, they work a ton though, because there's so many renal transplants. It's like,
but those are kind of like a lot of those are scheduled, you know.
But there's a lot of like care of those patients in the hospital and stuff. And like, that's the problem.
And a lot of the renal transplants, they're more scheduled because they usually have the donor already, and then because they can just take the kidney out and then transplant the new patient once they have everything set up. But like hearts,
on dialysis,
you know, heart, liver, bowel transplants, all that stuff has to be kind of last minute.
My ex-girlfriend told me that if her cat died of kidney failure, she was going to pay like $20,000 to get a kidney transplant at Colorado State.
Wow.
And like we were going to have to like
from any cat on the street.
I don't know how it works.
Do they even do that?
It's probably much
somewhere
simpler to find a donor there.
And she was like, we're paying for this. I was like,
who's paying for this?
Yeah.
I was like, I can't.
Yeah, I mean, that's a little.
I just cannot.
Yeah.
Because I knew like what would happen. Like even if that were to take place, like the cat that we would have would be so medicated and require so much. I would basically become like a veterinary hospice doctor,
basically,
or something.
Just nonstop meds, fluids, diuretics. I guess
take him to the
problems.
Take him to the ER because we got to check his blood work again for the 20th time this week.
Oh God, that'd be
I feel like animals would get so many different bugs from being immunosuppressed too. You know, because they're just into so much other stuff than humans.
Usually, my meningitis dogs, I'm immunosuppressed them all the time. They almost always get like a skin infection.
Yeah, something random. You know,
it's probably like the same rate as humans, though. I mean, we're not.
Yeah, but we're not like
I think
on the ground.
I think humans are actually worse.
Yeah, because we're more communal. We're spreading diseases.
That's
like
true.
Dogs that they never. If you don't take them to the dog park or something, it's like they never see another dog.
Yeah, I guess I'm just thinking of them like roaming outside.
Yeah, you're thinking of like wild animals.
But I
being
guess
like
humans are probably more discussing
post-transplant
transferring
wild
viruses and
animal.
everything. Yeah.
Oh. So what did you guys do for July 4th? Anything?
Tommy, what'd you do? Is this your first July 4th off? Were you off?
Yeah, I was off.
Wait,
Yeah.
Tommy, what's going on in your life right now? This is a big deal for you.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
started
Tommy, you're in a
fellowship.
transitional period.
I am in a transitional period. I started fellowship on July 1st. And so we had a 3-day weekend as soon as we did orientation day. Then I guess 2 days ago. So we're 2 days after July 4th.
So you had July 4th off.
Yeah, I had July 4th off. It's breast imaging, so it's like the clinic's not open. So
Yeah,
no
I did
reason
too.
to be
Did you have it off, Michael?
Yeah, I had it off.
there. Hey, there you go. But
Wow,
yeah, I
look
started
at us.
nice little fellowship. Had a 3-day weekend after having a few weeks off after after ending residency. So I'm officially done with the residency, and I'm officially a fellow at this time. It's very difficult. The problem is the way everything's working out. It's like the way where we're positioned in our fellowship. It's like the administrative stuff is really strange, and so like the university and then also the hospital that I'm at are like two separate entities, but no one knows what we fall under because we're like junior faculty or whatever.
Right.
So it's like a weird. It's like all our logins and stuff have been all weird this week. It's kind of been a pain, but I'm sure
You would think like, this happens every single year.
Yeah.
But the problem is like a lot of these universities and program stuff. I mean, because I've been through this so many times,
Yeah.
especially as like a med student when you rotate to different places.
It's
Just Groundhog's Day over and over every year.
Yeah.
But everyone's like, oh, it's a headache. It's always this issue. But then like after it's taken care of, then like nobody thinks about it until it happens at the end of the next year. It's literally every year.
Forget about it. You're like,
every year
email last year when we had to do this, and it's like
rather than just like, maybe get ahead of it.
Yeah,
just happens jump on it every year.
It's just like it seems like administrative wise when you go to the hospital, there's no like set parameters, and it's like no one knows who you're supposed to get information from. Yeah. And it's such a big I mean, these hospitals are these giant organizations that have so many employees. So it's like impossible to keep track of like who's supposed to do what. Then there's so much turnover, and it's like, God,
that's the thing too, is there's so much turnover in these positions. So even if someone, had the golden ticket of how to get out of this or how to fix it, those jobs turn over so quickly that, no one gives that to the down the road,
Maybe I forgot how much I loved like in residency when you're going from like second to third year. You're like, dude, I don't even have to worry about anything. You're like, I just show up to work on the next day and that's it.
Nothing changes.
Same old. You were like the med school rotations, Michael, going in, they'd be like, I don't think we can credential you. And you're like, for the love of God, I'm just going to follow someone around.
Every time it was you had to like, just move mountains just to get a badge in the hospital. I'm like, guys, every month you have new med students rotating through. Like, it can't be this challenging.
Yeah.
And for those of you who like don't know, to rotate as a med student in another hospital it's insane the amount of paperwork you have to give. You have to get like documents signed by your school, and then the liability insurance, and like there's a new application for every hospital. Then you have to go through all of the like required videos and what are those things called? Like you have to watch all like that.
Yeah. Oh God, what are they called?
What is that? Like onboarding tasks.
Yeah.
And, like every hospital. So every hospital you rotate it, it's like you have to just every time as a med student. It's so annoying. It's unbelievable. Yeah, it's unbelievable, actually.
You'd be like, every time you email the person too, they'll be like, I don't know. They'll be like, send you back some application. You fill out an application with God knows what information on there. They're like, can I have your social security number? I'm like, why do you need that?
Like, we're talking hours of paperwork. I don't know what they do with it. I don't know what happens. I don't even know who decided that this was the right paperwork. It's crazy, but
and then you gotta like, what's that thing that in the med school when you're trying to do away rotations, you have to like apply online? It's just another way.
The VSAS or
it's VSAS. There you go. I keep wanting to call it ERAS, but
visiting
that's just
student something. It's a system, and of course it costs money. By the way.
Yeah, why would it be cheap?
Because why wouldn't they gouge the med students a little more? Oh, you want to rotate somewhere else? That's going to cost you an application fee.
All right, come on down.
Yeah.
Like, we'd love to have you.
Apply
we'll give
no
information. You have to do this in order to get a residency. and you got to pay us in the process.
Yeah, and then we'll let you know shortly before the rotation starts. And if you
Yeah.
can't do it, you'll have to pay a cancellation fee.
Hey, I wanted to.
It's the worst, man.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring something up too. This is the month of July. Are you guys familiar with the term the July effect?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you want to explain what that is?
Michael, you wanna do it?
Yeah, I'll take it. So basically, July
Michael, go ahead
1st.
and take this one.
Yeah, I'll go take it. Basically, the July effect. So every July 1st or the beginning of July, every single year is when the new interns start, or the new people, the new physicians of the world who just graduated medical school like 2 weeks prior, now just wake up one morning and they're the physician in charge. And I say that lightly because they're interns, they're first year residents. So they're not really in charge, but it's the first time where they're taking care of patients on their own. So they just roll out of bed one morning after getting their MD or DO degree, and now they're taking care of patients. So the thing is, never.
Nothing scarier.
Yeah. So the saying is, never
For
go
you
to the
and the patient.
hospital. Yeah. Never go to the hospital or get sick at the beginning of July, because it's just full of all these newbies, which
Actually,
is like,
just wait till like December would probably be
yeah, wait till December.
the safest thing to do.
And it's kind of partly true, but I think they've done research on this topic and there's no real difference, but it just feels different because a lot of the new doctors don't know what's going on. And rightfully so. I mean, you have to realize when you first start in a hospital, the learning curve, not just for medical stuff, but just like where the restroom is, where, at the hospital I just finished fellowship at, I was lost in that hospital so many times because I was only there for a year. And, I'm like, you're on this wing of the hospital. The hospital's 1,000+ beds. It's so easy to lost. You have no idea where the stairs are. You have no idea where the elevators are. You don't know where the cafeteria is. You don't know where a patient's room is. You have to transport a patient. You have no idea where you're going. Nobody has any idea where radiology is. It's just like this huge learning curve where it takes probably 3 to 6 months to like really dial it in. But the July effect, yeah, is it real? See, I don't think it is.
Everything I always heard about it was, I mean, everyone jokes about it, but I don't think it was like an actual proven thing where the mortality and morbidity.
Let's read that conclusion.
Actually change.
All these studies looked at like different like types of medicine. This one looked at pediatric
doctors, like myocardial infarcts and stuff like that, like specifically
myocardial infighting.
Yeah.
So let's see. The aim of this study was to analyze reported pediatric trainee medical errors from May through September of 2015 at an academic children's hospital. And let's see results. And the meat of this is there was no significant difference in the number of adverse events from reported medical errors by trainees in July compared with May, June, August, or September.
Yeah. So they compared it to like quarterly evaluations.
Yeah.
So it's not true.
Graph. So this is trainee medical errors in orange compared to the total medical errors.
Yeah.
And there you go.
Yeah.
There's
a little step up there.
I mean, I don't know. Looks like a little step up there in July to me.
Not statistically significant.
Yeah.
The p-value was greater than 0.2.
Yeah.
You also get.
I don't know, man. I don't like this 48 sitting right there.
I got another one. 40. Here's another one.
Tommy has another one here
from Harvard. July effect.
Yeah, let's see.
Let's see down here. Overall, they found this thing. The teaching hospital had a lower risk of dying than non-teaching hospitals, but in July, the risk at teaching hospitals rose to the same level as patients at non-teaching hospitals. For high-risk patients who come to the teaching hospital, heart attack, risk of death, hospital over 20 to 25%. Yeah, so I don't think it's a significant increase. Like you do have more oversight from like actual higher ups and attendings, and people pay more attention. Because it's like I remember as an intern, actually, I don't know if you remember, Michael, but I walked in like med school to residency is a huge step, and you're like, you don't learn like anything in med school compared to what you need to learn for like residency.
Applying it practically is a complete game changer than having all the knowledge up here. Because you can know how to treat a myocardial infarct. I said it wrong.
God, dude, you did the same thing I did.
you can know how to treat a heart
myocardial infidelity.
Like every med student knows how to treat a heart attack. If you see ST changes on a EKG, you're like, oh, I need to treat this heart attack, blah, blah. But recognizing it when you're first out in training, recognizing it starting the treatment, looking at the EKG, ordering the appropriate tests is like completely out of left field compared to like just knowing it, you know?
Yeah. You also assume everything's gonna
Yeah.
be like right immediate, and you're like, I need to get troponins on this guy. It's like 30 minutes later. Here's a troponin.
Yeah.
And in
Dude,
med school, the question symptoms are like, they're dying right now.
Yeah. I had a huge surgery to do this afternoon. It was like a 5-site laminectomy on a dog for a disc herniation. And I was telling the tech, it took me like 2.5 hours to do. And I was telling the tech, I was like, dude, if this was me right out of my residency and like finishing up, we would have been in here till like 8 p.m. tonight.
Well, yeah, that's just the way it is.
I'm
That's
like-
exactly what you're going for,
and, like,
because experience.
As I'm doing
everything.
it, I'm literally, it's almost like it's just my cerebellum taking over. And it's like, I'm not even worried about anything. I know exactly what to do. It's just, it's like I'm painting something. I mean, not to make myself sound.
God, that's
Wow,
the
that
loudest
was
thing I've ever
Picasso
heard.
over here.
Yeah,
That was-
God.
It's like
That was a little-
my
little
brush strokes
excessive.
are effortlessly painting
was
across
a little-
the canvas.
That was a little excessive. I
Yeah,
served that one up
Jesus.
on a tee. but-
God.
I was just going through the motions.
The
It's
brush
almost as if
strokes.
I and Van Gogh merged into one, and our
I'll give you that
arts
one.
became.
It's almost
I'll
as if
give you
the
that one.
colors are transforming
I'll give you that one.
themselves on
Quick.
my palette.
Think of something that Tommy did that was stupid. Make fun of him.
So what I was going to say about the July effect is, so this is only true for, well, I guess it's not really true, but it's perceived to be true in academic or teaching hospitals because, smaller community hospitals like the one I worked at, there are no residents. So there
Yeah.
is no new people coming in July 1st. We don't have residents. It's only board certified physicians. But Tommy's hospital where he's doing fellowship, that's where all the newbies start.
Yeah, there's a ton of newbies floating around,
Yeah.
including myself when it comes to breast.
They're usually,
imaging, but,
you can usually recognize them by having like 18 pounds
oh
of
yeah,
papers in their pockets. They usually look disheveled.
they're
Like
frantic.
drug dosing
stethoscope.
books and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like stethoscope around the neck, clipboard, 18,000 pens. you know.
Yeah.
Right.
They always have pins. They got the print offs of like your patient list in the morning. They always have like 3 extra pieces of paper floating around that are folded up. It is
Yeah, being
it
it-
is way different being like a PGY6, and you're like, man, I guess I'll figure it out when I get there and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Versus like a PGY1, you're like, I need to make everything right away.
I mean, intern
my
year
God.
sucks. I'll tell you a quick story. Like even, I think when I was one of my very first day, and I did surgery intern year, my very first day, one of the nurses paged me, and I was like, oh God, I got a page, which it's terrifying. She's like, I hope I know what to do.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, this patient's in pain. Like, what do you want to give him? And I was like, something to make the pain go away.
What do you think?
That's what I was like. I was like, what do you? I don't know. I was like, what do you think we should give? And she was like, well, we usually just start with Tylenol because he's already on like Dilaudid or whatever. And I was like, okay, let's give Tylenol. She's like, all right, what dose? I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
I was like, hold on a second. Let me check to see the appropriate dose for Tylenol. She's like 650, 325. I was like, what do you want? I was like, let's start off small. 325.
Yeah,
She's like,
always start off small.
I
she's
mean,
like-
325 of Tylenol is
It's nothing.
so pointless.
she was like, I think we should go with 650. I was like, yeah, that's probably it. I was like, is that what they
Yeah.
usually do? She's like, yeah, I never do 325. I've been here 20 years. I was like, let's do 650. 650 is good. Hold on, let me check his
Sounds good.
liver values first.
Oh my God.
I mean, that.
I
But
have,
that's,
a,
that's
I have a
what
very
happens.
similar story.
Yeah.
I was doing one of my first cases when I was an intern. I was doing a laceration repair on a dog's foot. This might have been the first ever case I saw as a licensed veterinarian, by the way. Some dog lacerated their foot. I had to suture their pad and like sedate them.
Yeah.
This should take like 30 minutes tops, nowadays.
Yeah.
But I was debating how to like premedicate and then like briefly sedate this dog. And I'm looking at the little like, outpatient little order sheet or whatever that you call it. And the tech was like, I was like, okay, what do you want to give? And I was like, okay, butorphanol and midazolam. And she's like, okay, what do you want to do in case he gets like, a little too rambunctious and we need to like get him to immobilize? And I was like, I was literally like my daughter searching for a word. And then she looks up, she's got the sheet in front of her. She looks up, she goes, how about propofol? And I was like, that sounds great. Let's just have a little propofol on hand. He goes, okay, that sounds good. And I was like, Oh my God.
But that's I mean, these nurses these veteran nurses who have been there for decades, you know, and they see these new interns
Right.
come in every year, and they're just like, just please put in a 650 Tylenol order. Like that's all.
I don't know.
You
I don't
know,
know how
yeah.
these I don't know how these techs at this place I was at in South Florida dealt with it, because they were not the type of people that were like hand holder, like, you
Yeah.
know, goody people. They were like, South Florida is basically like New York. People just like migrate down there.
Yeah, I
And
was
they
gonna
have
say,
the
I was in
same
New
sort of
York.
outlook.
Nobody cares at all. Trust me.
Right.
Yeah, there is no hand holding in New York City at any
Yeah.
hospital in New York City.
Did you ever, when your first year, did you ever get like undressed in front of people and have like a doctor like chew you out or make you feel like really
No.
stupid? I had this happen like a dozen times in a year.
Yeah.
I never
really.
did, but I think I was kind of the type where like they knew if they did that to me, I'd just be like, what are you doing?
It's,
you know,
when you're a prelim also, it's like people are like, what am I gonna, this guy, like he's going into radiology.
yeah, especially as an intern, you know, like I was doing surgery. So they knew I wasn't going to be doing surgery the rest of my, they know I'm going into radiology. So they gave me a breakdown, a lot of stuff, you know. So they would dress down the actual residents who were going into surgery sometimes.
Or like
but like
PGY4 surgery resident.
for me, if they even started that, I'd be like, I was like very, you know how I am. I'm not like, if they started to do that, I'd be like,
I do know how you are. As
yeah.
it turns out.
If they even started to do that, I'd be like, you know, I don't care about this, right? And they'd be like, oh yeah, you're doing a radiology. And then they just completely changed.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. I'd be like, oh, I'll remember that for the next lifetime, I'll do a surgery residency.
But dude, we had this oncologist and a cardiologist, and I hate both of those disciplines. First of all, let me just start there. So I had to do oncology for like 5 days of the whole year.
I'm sure you got a lot out of there.
And she had this patient one time. This dog had like some horrible sarcoma in its like nose. It's like a nasal carcinoma or something like that. And it had radiation therapy somewhere else and then came back. And he had some sort of adverse event with his nose, like it got like epistaxis, nosebleed. And she was asking me, she was like, what do you think happened here? And I'd be like, I've never had less of an idea about anything in my entire life as to what she was talking about. And I froze up because I got nervous, and I saw like a lot of the techs were looking at me because she was kind of known for like destroying interns. And I looked at the dog, and the dog just looked at me, and I was like expecting the dog to like help me out, like with the answer.
Like, hey, bro, come on.
And the dog's just like, it's a golden
retriever.
Give me a wink.
Give me a wink.
The dog was just like, the dog just had that absent golden retriever look where they're just like, are you going to pet me now? Like that sort of thing. And
my nose hurts.
And so I blurted out, radiation poisoning. And she looked at me. She goes, did you just say radiation poisoning? And she aggressively dropped her pen down and then turned her back and just walked away from me. Like she was that mad at me.
Yeah.
And
that is
she
a hilariously stupid comment.
Terrible. Terrible. And then like 5 minutes later, she goes, you know what, Cellini, why don't you just do a neuro exam of the dog and just do something? That she literally said that to me.
Oh my God.
She was like, you like just do a neuro exam of the dog. Okay. Can you just do that?
I realized a lot of those like bigwig guys, like it's all at teaching hospitals, you know, where they try to dress down residents. Like once they know that they can't penetrate you, then like what let me rephrase that. Let me rephrase that. How can I say it? Once they know that they can't penetrate your skin, like they can't get to you if they dress you down.
There.
You know what I mean? How else can I describe that? Once they realize that it doesn't affect you when they try to dress you down, like you don't take it seriously because like you're not doing the specialty or whatever.
Yeah.
Then they just give up, and then they're like, okay, and then they'll be cool with you, or you know, and a lot of times they would like try that stuff. I'd be like, what are you trying to do here?
Yeah.
What's the point of this?
What's the point?
Having said all this, if I was a pet owner and I go to a veterinary hospital in July or August, like early August especially, and I get the whiff of like a new intern that is my doctor on emergency, I'd be like, can you just double check with like the person that's like in charge of you right now with everything? Just can you just double check, please? I would definitely like when I'm retired and I take my dog to a vet, then I'm like 20 years out of practice. I'm gonna be like, can you just check with? I know there's somebody in the back there that's like super that you're asking questions to. Can you just check with them?
Yeah. Just
I've
double
had
check
that. I've had that in practice too. Like a lot of, if it's like a retired physician or whatever, and they have a scan or something, they'll just come straight back to my office and be like, "Hey, can you go over this with me?"
Yeah.
Right.
I used to have
Just
that
like-
at our ancillary hospital. This guy, he had some sort of head and neck cancer, and he came back and just like had a scan, walked in the reader room. I was like, "Wait, are you a doctor here?" And he's like, "Can you pull up this person?" He was like, "That's me." I was like, "Are you a doctor here?"
Dude,
He was like,
"Man, give me a heads
I-
up."
he was like, "I was." And I was like, "Gosh, yeah. I mean, I'll look your chest CT." Like, it was the same thing. I was like, "Okay, man." I was like, "Duh, you're catch me off guard here."
I know.
The new interns at our place just started on Monday, and they look literally terrified.
Oh,
Monday was
yeah.
July 4th. July 4th is the worst holiday for a vet clinic by far, because it's
The-
all it's new interns. No, everybody's off. No specialist is really working on July 4th, especially up here. Like July 4th, everybody goes to the beaches out here
Yeah.
on July 4th.
Yeah, that's true.
And there's nobody wants to be in the clinic or on call, and myself included. And so it's just all interns and like ER doctors who get the short straw for that day. And it's, God, dude, every ER clinic I've ever worked at, it's insanity on July 4th.
How young?
There's so many.
How young
What?
do the interns look?
Oh my God, they look like I can't tell them from like college kids.
I know, isn't
anymore.
that crazy?
I'm 39, and like these kids are like, they're like, yeah, I graduated vet school in 2022. I'm just like, what? And what's even crazier is that
I was
like
born in 2000.
neurologists, like other specialists and like people in their residency, they finished vet school in like 2019.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm like, holy shit.
yeah, that's
that is pretty recent.
I know.
That's
I
crazy.
keep getting older and they keep getting younger.
Yeah.
Okay, Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
They stay the same age.
God.
I love that movie. I was thinking about that movie the other day, Dazed and Confused.
Dazed and Confused.
Man, he was so
I've
good in
never
that
seen it.
movie. You have it?
Ben
I've never-
Affleck's good in it.
That's one of the movies that I slipped, that and like Big Lebowski I've never seen, and they just slipped through the cracks. I've never seen them.
Never
I
seen
can't
Big
believe
Lebowski?
you, the movie buff over here, has never seen Dazed and Confused.
I've never
Yeah.
seen that. I've never seen Big Lebowski. Everybody talks about the dude and like this, that, and the other. I'm just like, huh? Like what?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
They're,
mean those.
they're really good.
You got to see Dazed and Confused. I mean, give me a
Yeah.
break.
Dazed
Also,
and
did
Speaking
you
of
see-
like, oh
Yeah, I was gonna
what?
say. Speaking of movies, did you see Top Gun just outperform Dark Knight?
Oh really?
Yeah,
I mean,
You know,
the
it
one
starts,
movie Michael likes in the world. He's like going to bat. for it.
only movie
Talk,
I
we
like.
talk about movies any other time. Michael's like, movies are a waste of
Yeah.
time.
I
Unless
think
Top Gun.
it should come
Let's
out on
talk on-
streaming in a couple weeks, which I'm gonna come down to your place in a couple weeks. So I think it will be available for when I'm there.
Yeah, I can't wait for you to destroy my golf clubs.
Yeah, I'm gonna break them over my knee.
Good.
I'm gonna duff a drive and go just break it over my knee.
I
Just
do have a
imagine-
bag full of balls that I've been saving for you.
Oh,
they like-
that's hilarious?
Are they like range balls?
No, they're good balls, but I just pick them up along like when I walk around the course and like if mine goes in the woods or something, I'll see like one or two balls, I'll just grab them and put them in my bag.
I don't
'Cause I'll
like,
be like,
charity
"Ah,
balls.
I'll be like, Jim will probably use these. Charity, what do you
That
want?
is-
Brand new Pro
Yeah,
V1
yeah.
Titleist?
Where's my Titleist balls at?
By the way, I remember golfing as a kid. I aspire to be the level of comfortable in my life that I can shank a drive and not even remotely consider going to search for that ball and being like, meh, it's fine. I'll just get a new one.
I'll search in that direction,
Like
but
$20 balls.
I'm not. They're not $20 balls. You can get a 12 pack for like $22, $23. But I'll search in that direction. But it usually, if it's in the long grass, I'm not gonna get like a tick to search for a ball. You know,
And you will
Yeah.
get a tick too.
I know you will
Yeah.
definitely get a tick up here in the Northeast.
there in Jersey, man.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same
Dude,
with
the
Rhode
dude,
Island, Connecticut,
Dude, the
all that.
ticks are crazy up here. Man.
Yeah, it's crazy. You'll definitely get ticked in the long grass. I avoid it.
I found one dude on Bernie. They get Bernie, and then they go off of Bernie because Bernie we keep the topical stuff on him,
Okay.
so they'll crawl on him, but then they won't like in bed because they I don't know, they just don't like it, and then we'll find them like crawling on the ground and stuff, and like
Like
I
in
found
your
one
house?
on yeah.
Oh,
I found one on B's foot the other day. It wasn't embedded or anything. I was like, get off my daughter, goodbye.
God, chubby foot.
I'm
hell.
surprised there's not like a
I hate ticks.
human
Ugh.
version of
They're the
what
worst.
dogs take. You know,
Well, there's no reason to. We can just like check our own skin and keep them off.
Yeah,
of
but
us.
still, I mean,
Let me tell you
if
something.
one
Bernie
bites
had
you,
no knowledge of a tick being on him.
He was
Yeah.
just
didn't you?
eating
You had
freaking-
one on you, didn't you? And you like didn't even
Yeah.
know.
I just found it crawling on my arm and I was outside on the porch.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
And I was like, great.
they're out
Great.
for blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see it. We get them here occasionally, but they're not like bad. Caitlin's
Yeah,
mom
I don't
always
think
gets
you-
them when they sit
too cold up
outside.
there.
They'll just like land on her. I'm like, ooh, that
Even-
sucks.
Even in Chicago?
Yeah, I mean, we have deer, so it's
surprising.
Like out in the
Yeah.
suburbs and stuff. So we're gonna get exodes.
Oh,
Well-
dude. Have you guys ever seen like how many ticks can just like land on a deer in the wild and just
Oh yeah, insane.
I can't, dude. It gives me the heebie-jeebies. That kind of
it
stuff.
Same.
really does. Like
Yeah.
we had like samples in formalin in like parasitology class, I remember, and they had like deer ears that were just like in formalin to show you how many ticks can just land, and literally you could not see ear. It was like an ear pinna, and it was just
don't even
nothing but a wall of ticks.
Oh,
Like,
God,
That's
that-
insanity. Literal insanity.
that's
Dude,
horrible.
parasitology that might have been my favorite class besides pathology in vet
It's
school.
so gross.
Yeah, I actually really liked it.
It is
I like that too.
so gross. They had
It's so- The pictures
was
are
a-
always horrible.
there, oh dude, it was like straight out of a John Carpenter movie, some of this stuff. Like it was nuts. Like there was this one jar that was a squirrel, and there's a tapeworm species, and the squirrel was literally just like this in the jar, and its entire front chest was these huge like cystic nodules that like tapeworms had just like taken over its entire
Oh my
abdominal
God.
cavity.
I didn't do that.
I
That's
was like,
horrible.
oh my god.
Dude, these
That's livid.
animals get that's like all the fishing stuff you catch. It's like they're just covered in parasites nonstop.
Oh
That's why if you're you cannot just buy or catch normal fish and eat sashimi off of it. You have to like
Oh,
sushi
no.
grade tuna and stuff.
Oh, absolutely not.
They freeze that stuff for like a month and that kills all the parasites. And then
Oh,
they
you know
eat it.
what? I'm wrong. It wasn't a tapeworm. It was a bot fly. It was this. It was something like that.
Oh,
Oh my god.
Bot.
dude,
bot
any of
Popeyes
that
flies.
stuff.
are
That
all
tapeworm
over,
up there, I can't even look at that tapeworm. It's disgusting.
Yeah, it was like that sort of thing. Only it was like like all over the squirrel's body. It wasn't
Ugh.
formalin.
Oh,
God.
Dude, is there anything more terrifying than a fly laying eggs inside your body?
No,
no.
that's
Next
the
topic.
epitome of scary stuff.
I hate that stuff. I hate that stuff.
I know. It's so gross.
Ugh.
Do you guys think that the country is actually going to head towards a civil war?
Actually head towards the Civil War?
Do you think we're going in that direction?
Why? Why
Because
do
you know
think
how
that?
like when you had like history class as a kid, and like you would read like the Civil War, like the Civil War, for instance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you would read about like 50 years leading up to the Civil War, all this stuff would happen. Like all these like your teacher would go through like a week's worth of lessons about like this happened and this happened and this happened, this happened, on and on and on. And then eventually that culminated in like a horrible civil war.
Yeah.
I feel like we are in the middle of that like pre-war.
The culmination period.
Yeah. I feel
Everything
feel
is
like
causing dissension.
it's like peace is like the stock market, and sometimes you have to have like a dip in the peace
Mhm.
and then have a war, and then everything kind of recovers. It's like burning the forest or something like that. Like it has to recover and go back to
Yeah.
normal.
Mhm.
I don't know, man. I feel like you can't even talk to like half the people anymore.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, everything's so, I think what COVID did was just people had nothing to
I think
do. And
It broke people, man.
yeah, it broke
Yeah.
people. People had nothing to do. And then people just became they're just completely polarizing now. So it's either you're on my side the way I now think, or you're not, and therefore you're my enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like there
it's
is
like
no,
everybody
like, there's
everybody
no-
became a Sith.
Yeah, there's no like, oh, I see your side, but unfortunately I don't agree with you.
And
like-
you can't even talk to people like
I know.
because every conversation is just like it's like, oh,
like
well, did
means
you
too much.
see? It's like, well, did you see the report that came out 6 months ago? Well, you should read that before. It's like, dude, I can't like keep up with every single counterpoint that you want to provide me given
Yeah.
topic X, Y, or Z. And then also like you can't even argue with anybody these days about anything because it's tied to their personal identity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to
And, like-
literally avoid it entirely, or you
I
have
feel
to
like-
succumb to the argument.
I feel like real life has become like YouTube comments, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah,
That's true.
because like
It's like-
usually you can just avoid it and be like, okay, whatever. Yep.
you can't do that. Like it's
Yeah, I know. But now you have
it's
to like
too
face it
ingrained.
head on. Now
No.
people are like, there's like real life YouTube comments, you know?
I don't know if
It's like
people
the-
just had too much, like so much time that they were able to like search the internet, like radicalize their thoughts and like just deepen every single fiber or every thought or every position.
Conspiracies and, you know,
like
all
the
this
internet
stuff.
the internet just feeds you whatever you want to think,
Yeah.
and so you can
Yeah.
just like it's almost like you subspecialize in your own thoughts and opinions,
Yeah.
and
Well,
you just
there's
like
there's an area.
narrow it down to like this little sliver is what I think, and that's it.
Well, that's the thing is you can literally find, if you have a thought, you can literally find someone or even a group of people that have that same thought. You can be like, yeah, I knew it. You can just latch
it's
on
like
that, like just the
It's
truth.
tribalism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That's all it does, man. And like it will these algorithms will just feed you whatever you want to hear.
Yeah.
That's like
And-
the Twitter thing. And like you can change the Twitter stuff and either
Yeah.
to your timeline or just like part of their algorithm is like feeding you likes and like popular things that you like. And it's like it won't even show you what you follow. It just shows you what they want you to see.
Yeah, I've
That
noticed
sounds like
that.
a weird
I don't
conspiracy.
use Twitter because it's terrible, but I've
I use
noticed
it for like basketball and like football and like
Yeah.
sports stuff. 'Cause there's like
That's
all
what I
this,
do.
I love all
I would-
the sports.
I would use it
Twitter.
for
Gambling.
soccer. It would give me like the up-to-date scores overseas and stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Gambling, yeah, like the update source, gambling, basketball, like free agency, like getting information like that. That's how I get
Exactly.
around- yeah,
Exactly.
video game stuff. I'll
The
do that.
transfer wire.
Yeah,
No,
the
but
transfer-
I was thinking about this too because of the Roe v. Wade stuff. I haven't seen. I was thinking about it, and then Roe v. Wade happened, and like we're gonna get to a point to where like states become islands of like people that think this way migrate to these states, and then if you don't, you live in these states, and
Yeah.
like the
I mean, it's
country
already
is just
like
gonna
that,
be
though.
like for the most part, but
You
like,
know?
it's just you have these like politicians that just make decisions for like the entire country, and the entire country is like, oh, we don't want that, and it's like,
It's based off their own personal beliefs.
yeah,
That's the
it's like
problem.
this literally, it's like these politicians make stuff off of their specific beliefs, and they're like, well, I was voted in. It's like, yeah, I mean, I guess, but like, you got 10,000 votes in a primary, like some random thing in Georgia for a congressperson, and it's like, yeah, that doesn't mean
Yeah.
you're like now you can speak for the country. Like, what are we talking
Yeah,
about?
I know.
we're just I just feel like we're on a pendulum going all the way harder and harder to both sides over and over again, and it's just gaining momentum.
Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah.
feel like. So
Yeah, I
it's-
mean,
it's
I don't
like
know. But there's also so much other thing or so many other things going on in the world that are just adding to this too, you know? So it's not just here. It's just there are so many external factors that are also contributing to this, contributing to the stock market, contributing to our daily life. It's just I think that the stars are aligning, and that may be going with what you're saying, but
You know what I also think? I don't think everybody's meant to have a voice. Like and social media
I know what
Social-
you mean, but that's hilarious. It's
social
like-
media gives literally anybody
Yeah.
as much of a voice as you want, and that is not supposed to happen because some people's voice is just not deserving
Yeah.
of an audience.
That's the
at
thing is
all.
like some people
And
don't.
I'm not
have
talking. I'm
cons-
not even talking about like politicians. I'm talking about like random Joe Schmo who's in his backyard making the worst TikTok you've ever seen in your life,
Yeah,
and then they have 1 million followers, and you're like, "What is this?"
well, the
You
problem is
shouldn't be
they'll put out
exposing your-
misinformation.
Yeah.
That's the key here. Like you said is, I mean, obviously it's a free country. Everybody deserves the right to speak, and I don't, that's
It's free
fine.
conch.
But the problem is that freedom of speech, and again, it's a free country, you can say whatever you want, but problem is like if that person gets a TikTok and starts spreading this misinformation, he or she can have millions of views on their misinformation in overnight, which is crazy.
yeah. I mean, it's just a combination of like just horrible takes and information, and just no. It's not even like the do your own research thing. It's like you can't even find a way to do your own research because you have to wade through a bunch of bullshit like social media stuff.
That's
all
the
time
problem.
To even get
There's-
to
there's so much-
information that may be a actual piece of information.
Yeah,
You don't
there's
even
so
know if
much-
you're being lied to with
No.
what you're reading.
there's so much misinformation out there, and then what we were talking about earlier is then you can find something off of that misinformation in another group that latches onto that information, and then you have another group
right.
combating it. So whatever you find, you can find something that latches onto each direction of that truth. It's crazy.
Dude, is there anything more annoying than when you talk to somebody about like you broach on politics and then they immediately fire off three talking points to you? Like,
no, I don't ever talk to, I can't even remember the last time I talked. I don't care
if you're
about
like,
politics.
If you say somebody's like, God, Trump's being an asshole today or something like that, they're like, well, what about the Steele dossier? Have you read that? It's like, what? Shut up.
Dude, I don't know.
Like, it's like, can you just acknowledge that? Like, I'm just saying, for instance, what I was trying to say before my camera cut out is that you can't even talk to people. That's all I'm just trying to say.
Yeah.
Is that you can't have any conversation. There's no ability to have a conversation anymore with anyone about anything.
Well, you can have conversations with mature adults, but most people, anybody who's that extreme and you can't have a conversation with them, I don't want to talk to them. It's like, it's too annoying.
I wish more people could just detach from the cult of personality and the identity politics, that sort of stuff. Like, it's just, like, can you just, like, what I was trying to say before my camera cut off is that, like, if politician A, let's just say it's Trump. I'm not saying it's always Trump, but if Trump is being a total dick about something, can you just acknowledge that he's being an asshole?
Yeah.
Like, can you just say that? Like, it's an objective thing.
It's like a sports team. You have your sports team. They do something bad. And you're like, the Falcons go 9-8. People are like, no, it wasn't Matt Ryan. It was this other thing. And it's like, can you just admit
they didn't water the field right
because it's like
at the Met Stadium.
You like they're doing something bad, then it reflects on you. It's like, this is separate from like the way you vote. Like,
that's exactly right, Tommy.
Yeah.
If Devonta Freeman didn't fumble in the third game of the season against the Saints, then it's like, all right. Fine.
Yeah.
Devonta Freeman's knees didn't go out and he runs with slow shit.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Enough about that, because I can't stand this stuff. I hate talking about politics. Obviously, we have talked about like the Roe v. Wade stuff, like big policy things like that have changed the scape. But any other nuance, I just can't even. I don't know how people.
You don't want to talk about the Steele dossier?
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, I don't either. It's just some talking point that they,
because I just like don't. I just like don't pay attention to it.
It is funny when people would be like, "Did you see that?" And you're like, "I don't know."
I don't know. I was playing golf.
Yeah. Have you tried to watch CNN or Fox News?
No, it's
just like try to watch it between like 8 and 10 p.m.
No.
It's both are unwatchable. Like, literally unwatchable.
Have you watched the local news? I watched like the New York news. I only watch the news when it snows. I mean, they are grabbing at straws for like any sort of ideas.
It's terrible.
Man at a local grocery store ran out of meat, so his neighbor got 3 pounds of meat from the neighboring town and brought it to him. I'm like, what do you got? Who's watching this?
Yeah, you're the field reporter. You're like, this is where your career's going. Man, what are you doing?
Like, the local news is so awful.
Yeah. When I walk down the street and I see like Fox News, CNN, or like local news on someone's TV through the window, I'm like, I can never be friends with you. Like, well, we have nothing in common.
Right.
Imagine having time to watch news at night. That's the other thing.
I remember one time in Albuquerque, I finished the hike and the news was at the trailhead, and there was some random dude. And also, these news people wear the worst outfits known to mankind. They look like they're like bird watching for like a week straight with these like giant, like multi-pocketed cargo pants on.
Yeah.
And he comes up to me and there's a cameraman with him. I'm like, what the hell? The guy like fast walked over to me. I think he was like trying to get something.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah. He's like, can I have a word? Can I have a word? And like, he must have been trying to just get it in for the day or something like that.
Yeah.
And
these damn hikers won't give me any time.
He was asking me about hiking and like, what's like the advice I would give people who are hiking. And I was like, I don't know, stay hydrated, like bring lots of water. And of course I sounded like the biggest douche on the planet the way I said it, because I was like super tired. And I was like, really, I remember I was like toast after this hike. It was like middle of summer. And I was like, yeah, you just gotta stay hydrated. And like they clipped that and they put it on the local on the local news.
I want to
find look at this loser.
I know. I could maybe dig it up. It's from like 2013 or
Oh,
something.
you're absolutely good.
But like it's literally just like me going, yeah, you just gotta stay hydrated. Like I'm like, it's like this like 3-second clip of me saying that, and they're like,
You
hikers
heard
here
it
warn.
here.
Yeah, they're like, hikers warn the precaution against dehydration. The big, it's like, oh my god, what did I just get?
Imagine someone clipping
The
that.
one thing hikers need to know about this summer.
Water.
Yeah, you know the editor too was like, look at this idiot.
According, I know.
Editor's like, I hate my job.
Some editor is like editing the clip of me saying that in the editing room, and they're like, Jesus, what? How
he
did
has to
I end
watch
up
you
here?
say that
Yeah.
over and over again.
I know. How many times did you see my dumb face go, oh, water?
Oh, God, can I just edit YouTube videos?
Yeah. It's like, I can't wait for 5 more years when YouTube becomes big.
So hope everybody enjoyed what we talked about today. Next week we're gonna have a special guest on. I'm not gonna say who, but he is an actor, comedian, and he's related to us. I'm just gonna say that.
Is it a guarantee?
It's not a guarantee, but I'll just say this.
So we'll say
because
maybe this guest will be on next week.
I mean,
he's a
like
busy
it.
man. He's currently in a hit show on Stars, and he's an actor, comedian, and he is related to us. We're gonna have him on the podcast hopefully next week. So
We'll
that
see.
should be good. We'll talk about our childhood and stuff.
Hey, perfect.
And he'll probably be eating a plate of cavadels while we're doing the podcast. All right. Well, I guess I'll like see you guys later and stuff. Oh, Michael, you're coming over in a couple days.
Yep, I'll be there in 2 days. Hopefully, my room is spotless, my bathroom's spotless, and I'll have a nice meal ready for me.
Put some
Your
Bernie hair
room-
on the pillows.
Your room is where I'm sitting right now, just so you know.
Oh,
So
well, I'll be
you'll see.
chewing your stuff out of there. Hopefully it's vacuumed.
See.
Yeah.
You see. There's your bed.
Make
I'll
sure you
take that.
vacuum that.
As long as it's vacuumed and
Michael's gonna
you know,
sleep, put his head at
There's,
night.
there's the Peloton behind me in the window.
won't be using
And
that.
this is your 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom apartment. We're listing it for $1,200 a month here in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
So stupid.
I guess I'll see you guys later.
All right.
Yeah.
That
Well, I'll
was
definitely see you
nice.
later.
Everybody have a nice day, have a nice week, and stay safe out there because a lot of bad things have happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is true.
Just remember, stay hydrated.
Just remember to stay hydrated, folks.